Hello, my name is Aiden, and tonight I'll be your guide on a magical journey filled with wonder, courage, and the spirit of giving. So, snuggle up under your coziest blanket. Let your mind drift like a snowflake on the winter wind, and allow yourself to unwind. Together, we'll embark on a calming adventure that carries the warm glow of holiday cheer. If you enjoyed this story, please give us a like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. You can also support us on our Patreon, where you'll gain access to our Spotify playlist and early access to all our stories. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the stillness of the night settle around you. Let's begin our tale of the Midnight Sleigh Ride and discover how one curious fox found himself in the heart of Christmas magic. The North Pole was quiet, except for the crunch of snow beneath Toby's small, nimble paws. The curious fox had spent the evening watching the dazzling lights from Santa's workshop flicker against the inky sky. Each Christmas Eve, he marveled at the spectacle of the sleigh, preparing for its long journey, the reindeer snorting plumes of icy breath as they stamped their hooves, ready for flight. But tonight felt different. Toby's heart thumped with an urge he couldn't ignore, a longing to see it all up close. Slipping through the snow-covered forest, Toby crept toward the edge of Santa's workshop. From the shadows, he spied elves bustling about, stacking gifts and checking lists, their high-pitched laughter and chatter filling the air. As Santa's booming voice echoed, calling the reindeer to their positions, Toby's amber eyes sparkled with determination. When the coast was clear, he darted forward, weaving through the maze of presents stacked around the sleigh. His nose twitched at the scent of pine, peppermint, and freshly baked cookies wafting from the gifts. Finding a cozy nook among the packages, Toby curled up, his fluffy tail wrapping snugly around him. The sleigh creaked as Santa climbed aboard, and with a jingle of bells, they were off. Toby clung to the sleigh as it soared higher and higher, the ground below disappearing into a blanket of twinkling snow. He had done it. He was flying with Santa. For a moment, excitement filled his heart, but as the wind tugged at his fur, a flicker of unease crept in. What if someone discovered him? Unbeknownst to Toby, a pair of mischievous green eyes had already spotted him. A sudden bump jolted Toby awake. His ears perked up as the sleigh soared into a sky so dazzling it felt like stepping into a dream. The stars were brighter than he'd ever seen, shimmering like diamonds scattered across a velvet canvas. He leaned over the edge of the sleigh, his mouth agape as he tried to take it all in. Enjoying the view, stowaway, came a lilting voice, startling Toby. He spun around to see Holly, one of Santa's liveliest helpers, perched atop a stack of presents. Her crimson outfit sparkled like frost, and her braided hair glinted gold in the moonlight. She wore a playful grin as she leaned closer, her hands on her hips. "Who are you?" Toby stammered, his tail fluffing in alarm. "I could ask you the same, Fox," Holly replied, tapping her chin thoughtfully. "But since you're clearly not on the nice list, or the naughty one, you must be a stowaway." Toby ducked his head, his ears flattening. "I just wanted to see the sleigh," he admitted. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." Holly chuckled, her voice ringing like silver bells. "Well, trouble you found, little fox. But lucky for you, I like a bit of excitement." She leaned in closer, her grin softening. "Tell you what, help me keep the presents organized, and I won't tell Santa about our unexpected guest." Relieved, Toby nodded eagerly. "Deal." As the sleigh glided among the stars, Holly taught Toby the ins and outs of gift wrangling, showing him how to steady packages and double-check the labels. Toby was a quick learner, his nimble paws proving useful in fixing loose ribbons and restacking wobbly towers of presents. For a moment, he forgot his fears, captivated by the sheer wonder of the world around him. They passed over snow-capped mountains, glittering oceans, and forests draped in silver frost. Holly pointed out constellations, sharing stories of ancient skies, while Toby listened, his heart swelling with awe. But their wonder was short-lived. A sudden gust of wind rocked the sleigh, sending packages tumbling. Santa's voice boomed from the front. "Hold on tight," he bellowed. "We've got trouble ahead." As the sleigh tilted sharply, Toby's grip slipped, and he yelped. Holly grabbed his paw just in time, her playful demeanor replaced by a determined focus. "Stay with me, Fox," she said firmly. "We've got work to do." The sleigh plummeted toward a dark expanse of forest below, the stars dimming as the ground rushed to meet them. Toby's heart raced, but a strange sense of courage welled within him. Whatever lay ahead, he knew he wouldn't face it alone. The sleigh landed with a jarring thud, skidding across the snow-covered ground, until it came to rest against a cluster of frosted pine trees. Toby tumbled out from the pile of presents, landing in a fluffy snowdrift. He shook the snow from his fur, his amber eyes wide with alarm. Around him, ribbons unraveled, ornaments glinted in the moonlight, and a few gifts lay scattered in the snow. Santa climbed down from the sleigh, his face lined with concern as he inspected the damaged runners. Holly leapt down beside him, brushing herself off. "Well, that's a fine mess," she muttered, eyeing the cracked wood and the bent frame. Santa stroked his beard thoughtfully. "We've landed in the frozen forest," he said. "It's not ideal, but it could have been worse. Holly, I'll need you to take charge of repairs while I assess the reindeer and adjust our route." Holly straightened up, her mischievous grin returning. "You got it, boss." She turned to Toby, who was trying to tuck himself out of sight. "And lucky me, I've got an assistant." Toby froze. "Assistant?" he echoed nervously. Holly leaned in, her emerald eyes sparkling. "Oh, don't play coy now. You're part of the crew, stowaway. Unless you want Santa to know you hitched a ride." Toby's ears flattened, but he nodded reluctantly. He didn't want to get on Santa's bad side. "All right. What do I do?" "Good fox," Holly said cheerfully. She grabbed a candy cane from a fallen bag and twirled it like a wand. "We're going to fix this sleigh. But first, we need to gather the scattered presents before they disappear into the snow." Toby darted into action, his quick paws making short work of retrieving the gifts buried beneath the snow. Holly followed behind, directing him with an almost theatrical enthusiasm. "Careful with that one. It's fragile. Oh, and that one's for a princess, so handle it like it's made of gold," she teased. Despite her playful attitude, Toby began to realize that Holly was sharp and resourceful. She found creative ways to make use of what they had, stringing tinsel into ropes to secure the sleigh and using oversized bows to patch small holes. As they worked, Toby started to relax. He even managed a laugh when Holly jokingly pretended to lose a gift in the snow, only to pull it out with a flourish, declaring, "Ta-da! Elf magic!" For the first time, Toby felt like he was part of something bigger. The frozen forest was eerily beautiful, its trees stretching toward the sky like towering crystal sculptures. A soft, otherworldly glow shimmered through the branches, casting the snow in shades of silver and blue. But the serene beauty of the forest was deceptive. Every sound seemed to echo, and the air carried a chill that went deeper than the frost. As Toby carried another gift back to the sleigh, he noticed the shadows shifting between the trees. He paused, his fur standing on end. "Holly, do you think we're alone out here?" Holly glanced up from where she was inspecting the damaged sleigh runners. "Probably not," she said nonchalantly, tightening a tinsel rope. "The frozen forest has a reputation for being a little lively." "Lively," Toby repeated, his voice trembling. "Relax," Holly said, waving him off. "As long as we stick together, the forest won't bother us. It likes to test your heart, but it won't hurt you if your intentions are good." Toby wasn't entirely reassured, but he nodded and kept working. As the hours stretched on, the pair made steady progress. Holly managed to rig a temporary brace for the sleigh runners using candy canes and some sturdy branches, but it wasn't enough to get them airborne again. "We're going to need something stronger," she admitted with a sigh. As if in response, the forest seemed to stir. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees, carrying with it a faint, melodic hum. Toby's ears perked up, and he turned toward the sound. "Do you hear that?" he asked. Holly paused, her playful demeanor softening. "I do," she said quietly. "It's the forest calling." The hum grew louder, forming into a tune that was both haunting and comforting. A soft glow appeared ahead, flickering like a distant lantern. Holly exchanged a glance with Toby, her mischievous grin returning. "Well, stowaway. Looks like we've got ourselves an adventure," she said. With Holly leading the way, they followed the glow deeper into the forest. The trees seemed to part for them, their crystalline branches glistening like stars. At the heart of the forest, they came upon a hidden grove, bathed in a magical light. In the center stood a shimmering figure, a snow spirit, its form delicate and radiant, like ice sculpted by moonlight. "Who dares disturb the frozen forest?" the spirit asked, its voice echoing like wind through hollow trees. Toby stepped forward, his courage surprising even himself. "We didn't mean to disturb anything," he said earnestly. "Our sleigh is broken, and we need help to fix it so we can finish delivering the gifts." The spirit regarded them silently for a moment before speaking. "If your cause is pure, the forest will aid you. But first, you must prove your hearts are worthy." Holly tilted her head, a spark of intrigue in her eyes. "A test, huh? All right, Snow Spirit, bring it on." The spirit's form shimmered, and the grove transformed into a labyrinth of ice and light. Holly and Toby looked at each other, their breath visible in the frosty air. "Well, Fox," Holly said with a wink. "Time to see what you're made of." Toby nodded, his nerves melting into determination. Together, they stepped into the maze, ready to face whatever challenges the frozen forest had in store. The maze of the frozen forest shimmered and shifted like a living dream. Walls of ice glinted with prismatic light, reflecting Toby's wide-eyed wonder and Holly's determined focus. The melodic hum from earlier now seemed to guide their steps, faint but persistent, like a thread pulling them deeper into the labyrinth. "What do you think the test is?" Toby asked, his breath forming small clouds in the icy air. "Could be anything," Holly replied, her tone light despite the eerie atmosphere. "Patience, teamwork, bravery. This forest loves to play games." She gave Toby a sideways glance, her lips quirking into a grin. "Hope you're up for it, stowaway." Before Toby could respond, the ground beneath them quaked, and a towering ice wall shot up, separating the two. "Holly!" Toby yelped, pawing at the transparent barrier. "I'm fine," Holly called back, her voice muffled but steady. "Looks like the forest wants us to work solo for a bit. Stay sharp, Fox." Toby nodded, though she couldn't see him. Taking a deep breath, he followed the path ahead, his paws crunching softly against the snow-covered ground. The forest seemed to watch his every move, the trees whispering in a language he couldn't understand. His first challenge came in the form of a frozen stream blocking his path. The ice glowed faintly, and at its center floated a gift wrapped in gold paper. As Toby approached, the ice groaned ominously, cracks spidering out from beneath his paws. "What would Holly do?" he murmured to himself, recalling her knack for turning ordinary objects into tools. Spotting a sturdy branch nearby, Toby carefully fashioned it into a makeshift hook, using some ribbon from his tail. With a steady paw, he snagged the gift and pulled it to safety, just as the ice gave way. On the other side of the maze, Holly faced her own challenge. She encountered a series of glowing symbols etched into an icy wall, each one pulsating faintly. At its base lay a pile of mismatched ornaments, their colors dull. "Well, aren't you mysterious?" she muttered, crouching to inspect them. "Looks like you want me to solve a puzzle." She began arranging the ornaments based on the colors of the symbols above, her mind racing as she worked. Each correct placement caused the ornaments to glow brighter, while a wrong move dimmed them completely. After a few tense moments, the final ornament clicked into place, and the wall melted away, revealing the next passage. Toby and Holly eventually reunited at the center of the maze, where a crystal pedestal stood, radiating a soft warmth. Resting on top was a glowing vial filled with a shimmering, frost-like substance. "The starlight frost," Holly whispered, her grin widening. "Looks like we passed the test, Fox." Toby's chest swelled with pride, but before he could reply, the snow spirit reappeared, its voice echoing around them. "You have proven your worth through courage and ingenuity. The forest grants you this gift. Use it wisely." Holly bowed theatrically, nudging Toby to do the same. Together they took the vial and retraced their steps back to the sleigh, the maze melting away behind them. Back at the crash site, Santa greeted them with a relieved smile. "You've done well," he said, his voice warm and approving. "The forest doesn't help just anyone. I knew you two could handle it." Holly handed over the vial of starlight frost with a flourish. One enchanted fix-it solution, courtesy of us. Santa chuckled, shaking the vial gently. This is exactly what we needed. Let's get to work. Together, the trio began repairing the sleigh. Santa used the starlight frost to mend the cracked runners, its magical glow fusing the wood seamlessly. Holly secured the tinsel ropes and polished the bells, while Toby double-checked the gifts to ensure none were missing. As they worked, the frozen forest seemed to come alive around them. The trees swayed gently, their whispers now soft and harmonious, like a lullaby. The once ominous chill had lifted, replaced by a calming warmth that wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. Toby paused to look up at the sky, where the first hints of dawn glimmered faintly on the horizon. "Will we make it in time?" he asked, his voice tinged with worry. Santa smiled, his eyes twinkling. "We always make it in time. Christmas magic has a way of bending the rules for those who believe." With the repairs complete, they prepared to take off. Holly offered Toby a hand, helping him into the sleigh. "Not bad for a fox," she said with a wink. Toby grinned, his earlier nervousness replaced by a growing confidence. "Not bad for an elf," he shot back. As the sleigh lifted into the air, the forest below faded into a silvery mist, its whispers lingering like a gentle farewell. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, guiding their path as they raced toward their next destination. But deep in Toby's heart, he knew this was more than just a sleigh ride. It was a journey of discovery, proving that even the smallest among them could rise to the occasion when it mattered most. The sleigh soared through the night sky, the stars glistening like lanterns guiding their way. The weight of their mission pressed heavily on Toby's mind. With dawn approaching, they had little time left to deliver the remaining gifts. Santa kept the sleigh steady as he called back over the wind. "Holly, Toby, I need you two to help with deliveries. We'll have to split up to cover more ground." Toby's eyes widened. "Me? Deliver gifts?" Holly clapped him on the back, her grin as confident as ever. "You've got this, stowaway. I'll handle the rooftops, and you take care of ground-level deliveries. Just follow my lead." Santa pulled a small sack from his side and handed it to Toby. "Inside are enchanted gifts. Each one will find its rightful place if you trust your heart." Toby gulped, but nodded. He couldn't let the team down. As the sleigh descended toward a snow-covered village nestled in a valley, Holly leapt off first, landing gracefully on a rooftop. "Come on, Fox," she called, vanishing into a chimney. Toby hesitated but jumped off the sleigh, landing softly in a snowdrift. He opened the sack, which glimmered with a faint golden light, and pulled out the first gift. It was wrapped in shimmering blue paper, and as soon as he held it, he felt a gentle tug, as if the gift knew where it belonged. Following the pull, Toby padded through the quiet streets, his paws leaving delicate prints in the snow. He reached a small cottage where the glow intensified. Carefully, he nudged open the door and placed the gift beneath a humble Christmas tree, its needles dusted with frost. As he turned to leave, he caught sight of a sleeping child curled up by the hearth. The sight warmed Toby's heart, filling him with a sense of purpose. He was no longer just a stowaway. He was part of the magic. One by one, Toby delivered the gifts, his confidence growing with each successful stop. Occasionally, he'd catch glimpses of Holly darting across rooftops, her laughter carried by the wind. "Not bad for a beginner, Fox," she teased when their paths crossed again near the sleigh. Toby grinned. I could get used to this. But their triumph was short-lived. As they loaded the sack back onto the sleigh, Santa's brow furrowed. "We're missing one gift," he said, his voice laced with concern. Holly's playful expression turned serious. "What do you mean? We double-checked everything." Santa held up a small box wrapped in silver paper. "This gift was meant for a boy in the mountains. If we don't deliver it before sunrise, his Christmas magic will fade." Toby's ears perked up. "We can still make it, right?" Santa nodded. "It'll be close. The mountains are treacherous, and we'll need to hurry." The sleigh shot back into the sky, the air growing colder as they approached the towering peaks. Toby clutched the silver box tightly, determined to see the task through. The mountains loomed ahead, their jagged peaks bathed in the faint glow of the approaching dawn. The sleigh swerved and dipped as icy winds howled through the ridges, threatening to throw them off course. "Hold tight," Santa bellowed, his voice firm and steady despite the storm. Holly climbed to the front of the sleigh, her hands gripping the reins alongside Santa's. "We're cutting it close, boss. That wind isn't playing fair." Toby clung to the silver box, his fur bristling against the biting cold. As the sleigh descended toward a small cabin perched on a snowy cliffside, a sudden gust knocked them off balance. The sleigh tilted sharply, and the silver box flew from Toby's paws. "No!" he cried, scrambling to catch it, but the wind whisked it away into the darkness. "After it!" Holly shouted, leaping from the sleigh without hesitation. Toby hesitated only for a moment before following her, his paws landing firmly in the snow below. The box tumbled down the slope, its silver wrapping glinting faintly in the growing light. Holly was faster, her agile form darting after the box, but the uneven terrain slowed her down. "Toby, cut it off from the other side," she yelled. Toby's heart raced as he dashed through the snow, his smaller frame allowing him to slip between narrow gaps in the rocks. He reached the box just as it teetered on the edge of a deep ravine. Lunging forward, he caught it between his teeth, skidding to a stop mere inches from the edge. Holly arrived seconds later, panting, but grinning. "Nice save, Fox. I'm impressed." Toby set the box down carefully, his legs trembling. I couldn't let him down," he said, his voice shaking with both fear and relief. Holly placed a hand on his shoulder. "You didn't. Now, let's get this to where it belongs." With the sun's first rays peeking over the horizon, they raced back to the cabin. Toby carried the silver box in his jaws, his determination lending him strength. When they reached the door, Santa was already there, holding it open. "Hurry," he urged, his warm eyes filled with pride. Toby dashed inside and placed the box beneath the tree. A faint glow spread from the gift, illuminating the room with a golden light. The cabin, once dim and cold, seemed to come alive with warmth and cheer. As they stepped outside, the first full rays of dawn broke over the mountains. Santa placed a hand on Toby's head, his voice gentle. "You've done something remarkable tonight, Toby. You've shown heart, courage, and the true spirit of Christmas." Toby's chest swelled with pride, and Holly gave him a playful nudge. "Not bad for a stowaway," she said with a wink. As they boarded the sleigh and rose into the sky one final time, Toby looked down at the peaceful cabin below. He realized that this night had changed him forever. He was no longer just a curious fox. He was part of something magical, something that would live on in the hearts of those he'd helped. The sleigh sailed smoothly across the golden horizon, the first light of morning painting the world below in soft hues of amber and pink. The stormy winds of the mountains had stilled, leaving a tranquil silence that seemed to celebrate their victory. Toby sat in the sleigh, his heart still racing from the night's adventures. "You did well, Toby," Santa said, his voice filled with warmth. Delivering that last gift wasn't just about the boy, it was about proving the magic within you. Toby's ears perked up. "The magic within me," Holly chimed in, leaning back with her signature playful grin. "Every creature that's part of Christmas holds a little magic, Fox. It's what makes this whole operation possible. Tonight you showed that you've got plenty of it." Toby blinked, unsure of what to say. He'd never thought of himself as anything special. He was just a fox, curious and a bit reckless, who had stumbled into an extraordinary adventure. As the sleigh soared higher, Santa steered them toward a vast, glittering expanse of white clouds. They stopped in midair, surrounded by a sea of shimmering light. Santa climbed down from his seat, motioning for Toby to join him. "Toby, there's one more gift to deliver," Santa said, holding out a small, unmarked box wrapped in simple brown paper. Toby tilted his head. "But who's it for?" Santa knelt beside him, his kind eyes twinkling. "It's for you." "For me?" Toby's voice was barely a whisper. "You've given so much tonight. Your courage, your heart, your determination," Santa explained. "Christmas isn't just about giving to others. It's also about recognizing the gifts within ourselves. This is a token of thanks for the magic you brought to this journey." With trembling paws, Toby opened the box. Inside was a beautiful collar, adorned with a single golden bell. As he touched it, the bell chimed softly, its sound filling the air with a melody that resonated deep within him. "This bell will remind you of tonight," Santa said, "of the magic you carry and the difference you've made." Toby slipped the collar around his neck, his heart swelling with pride and gratitude. Holly clapped him on the back. "Looks good on you, Fox. You're officially part of the crew now." As they flew back to the North Pole, the world below began to stir, waking to the joy of Christmas morning. Lights twinkled in homes, laughter echoed through the air, and Toby felt a warmth he'd never known before. When they arrived at Santa's workshop, the elves greeted them with cheers and applause. Holly hopped off the sleigh with her usual flair, spinning a candy cane like a baton. "Mission accomplished, everyone. We saved Christmas, and we've got a new member on the team." The elves crowded around Toby, their tiny hands patting his fur and adjusting his new collar. Though he was overwhelmed by the attention, Toby couldn't help but smile. Santa raised his hands, quieting the room. Tonight was a reminder of what Christmas is truly about: teamwork, courage, and the joy of giving. Toby, you've shown us all that even the smallest among us can achieve great things when they believe in themselves. The workshop erupted in cheers once more, and Toby felt a wave of pride and belonging. He wasn't just a curious fox anymore. He was part of a family, part of the magic. That evening, as the festivities wound down, Toby found himself sitting with Holly by the fire. She nudged him playfully. "Not bad for your first Christmas adventure, huh?" Toby chuckled, the bell on his collar chiming softly. "It was more than I ever imagined. But do you think there will be more adventures?" Holly grinned. "Oh, absolutely. Christmas magic is endless, Fox. And something tells me this is just the beginning for you." As the fire crackled and the warmth of the workshop wrapped around him, Toby let out a contented sigh. He glanced at his golden bell, its soft glow reflecting the light of the fire. Somewhere deep in his heart, he knew Holly was right. His journey had just begun, and he couldn't wait to see what the future held. The stars outside twinkled brightly, as if winking in approval. The magic of Christmas had found a new guardian in Toby, the curious fox who had followed his heart and discovered the extraordinary. And so, the sleigh bells rang on, carrying their melody into the night, reminding all who heard them that the magic of giving, courage, and love lives on forever.